Good evening, everybody. Hi. It's Thursday night, so fancy seeing you here. Welcome, everybody. If you guys are new, my name's Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. Just want to say hello to everybody out there. Oh, wait, did Rumble not fire up? No, I think it's working. Okay, yeah, looks like it is. All right, want to say hello to everybody. My name's Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I am an attorney over in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and I do a lot of criminal defense stuff. So, yeah, guess what? That's what the show's about, generally, but also other legal issues. So this is a weekly Thursday show. Thank you for being here. And if you guys are new, we try to give people a couple minutes to get in here just because YouTube, everybody else is not the best at telling people it's time to party. Also, let's be honest, I'm sure some of you have better things you're doing, like organizing a stamp collection or just digging a hole in the ground. So I don't want to interrupt those. I'll let you get to those. Um, Tonight, we are live on YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble. I want to say hi to everybody out there in the Rumble ghetto. I think it's working. Looks like it's working. Um, Hopefully it's working. It should be working. Are there people in the Rumble chat? I think so. Yes, there are, it looks like. So that's good news. After forever and a day of this thing not working, Rumble is finally working. Perfect. Also, guys, we have the second monitor. Everything's actually up and running. So you guys can cry about something else for once. Robert says we were just here moments ago, about an hour ago, wrapping up the Karen Reed. So, guys, we try to give that 10-minute window there. And in the meantime, we've got to catch up on some things. Want to first off start off with, in addition to all the other places people are watching over on Locals. If you guys don't know what Locals is, Locals is basically just like Patreon. It's just like Patreon, except unlike Patreon, they don't try to uh, censor you based upon your viewpoints. If you say something they don't like, that doesn't happen on Locals. As long as you're not Fed posting, you're pretty much good to go. So over at potentiallycriminal.locals.com, we have a nice little community. And just like Patreon, you could become a member for free. You could join the board. We have a wall. You could post things up there. Other people could talk to you. You could talk to them. I could talk to all of you guys. And you get to do that for free. If you wish to support me, it's $3 a month. It's $3 a month. And you pay for 10 months, you get 2 months free. With those $3 a month you get access to the live shows. I do 2 live shows a week. I do a live show every Monday night, starting about 8:30 to 9 o'clock, depending on the time. And then after this show, so probably sometime around 11:30 midnight, we have a live show. We hang out and talk about stuff we can't talk about here. It's not appropriate for here. Things YouTube won't like. There, like I said, there really are no rules, and we go and hang out over there. In addition to that, if there's special events, like if Medicare's going to have a show, we'll hang out. If there's a Formula One race, we'll hang out, watch that. All kinds of fun stuff. You can do that at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. If you want the free access, you can use the promo code Booger Sugar down below, and you get 1 month free access. After that month is over, if you don't like it, no hard feelings. But I have a feeling once you get a taste, it's going to be hard for you to stop. In addition to all that stuff on Locals, we do have a live chat up in Locals right now. And that's a show. And yes, with the second monitor, oh my God, these are some awful fucking memes up there, but they're amazing. No, $0. I'm not using that label. I'm not using that. I'm not using that thumbnail, even though you made it for me. I appreciate it. All right. So before we get started, we gotta. Okay. EDW Raptor. A lot of the. Okay. We got to get caught up on all these, so we'll take the time to do it right now. EDW Raptor gifted 10 memberships. Thank you. He gifted 5 more. And he gifted 5 more. That's 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 46, 51, 52, 53, 54, 59, 60, 61, 66, 66 memberships. Um, whoa! And let's go. Thank you, EDW. That's really I truly appreciate your generosity, and I know everybody here appreciates your support as well. So thank you. In addition to that, EDW Raptor also super chatted the first super chat. I guess that's you could be first in many ways, and that's one way to be first. Of all the things to be first, and I know I don't think I've covered it the last couple of weeks, and I feel bad about it that I haven't been covering the first because if you're not first, you're last. And tonight, first was Scott Wade saying hi. You know what? That's a good wholesome way to join the battle. Good to have you here, Scott. Amateur Iconoclast gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. Thank you very much. AJ Arguello gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. Garrett gifted 5. Thank you, Garrett. Iconoclast gifted 1 more just to like raise the pot a little. Garrett gifted 5. That's 10 from Garrett. Thank you. Kat, but not Kat Williams, gifted 5. Thank you, Kat. The Iconoclast then gifted 2 more. So now he's up to 8. Thank you, Iconoclast. And now he makes it 9. And then he makes it 10. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. I thank you for the support there. Analytical T last night, he dropped like 50. Thank you again for that. And then Analytical T gifted 2. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. Stephen Cooper for $2 saying, remember, this is a sundown chat, Grays. Get bent. That's right, Grays. Keep moving. You aren't welcome here. For $2 says, who, if anyone, is gonna come? Oh, don't come. Don't come. 10K view gifted 20 memberships. Thank you. Thank you so very, very much. EDW Raptor said, this is for a monitor for your monitor. Well, I mean, I could probably make that work. And then EDW says, sorry, Sean, the trains need to run on time for the Grays. I get it. We are going to eliminate all the Grays from chat. Only greens here. Only green names. And then Corey Boatwright, earlier today in the Kieran retrial. Thank you for your membership, I guess, donation earlier of 50. Thank you again, Corey, with 20 more. And you guys, I truly appreciate all that support through the memberships. And guys, if you are a member, we do a members only stream once a week. And this week we were watching some body cams, watching corgi races, all kinds of stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. And we try to do those at least once a week. So stick around if you guys remember. There are some benefits. Also, you get access to all the emojis. Like we have a Clyde emoji, a Ryder truck emoji, a Killdozer emoji, bags of fertilizer, all kinds of fun stuff. The switchies, feds, all kinds of things. So keep that in mind. Mumbler says gray friends matter. No, they don't. No, they don't. I'm sorry. Yes, I actually do my local streams. What are you guys? Hold on, you guys are going fast. Yes. R says, we don't like your kind around here. Did I hear about the drama about Fiery Red stream? Who's Fiery Red? So no, I don't know. I don't know. Yes, and also Nico was the guy. If you guys were wondering who did the outro song, that's Nico. So thank you again, Nico. I always appreciate it. All right. So it's been 10 minutes. Let's get started. It's time to roll. Who are... What is this? Okay. What? Where the hell am I? Sorry. Trying to... All right, guys. So we are going to get started. We'll get started on the big one. one people have wanted me to talk about for, well, really kind of like weeks on end at this point. And it's the stuff involving Nick. So we'll start there. We will start there. We'll start off with, I guess, the thing that already happened and the thing I don't feel bad about publishing and talking about, and that is um, what's going on in his criminal case. And in his criminal case, a couple things have happened. First of all, he actually hired an attorney, which I am fucking tickled to death he did that because, for a while he hadn't done that and had been sitting for weeks on his own, not getting an attorney. And I'm glad he got one. Guy's name's Francis White. Yeah, he's an attorney. I don't know anything about him. Seems like a good guy. So, and Nick likes him. And hey, that's one of the biggest things is, do you like the attorney you're working with? Because if you don't, that can lead to a lot of problems. So it sounds like they're going to, sounds like they hit it off. Now, what did his attorney file? And people wanted me to cover this. And the reason why I waited till tonight is because this is kind of some basic bitch shit here. This is boilerplate. And I'm happy to go through it with you guys, but this is not worthy of, a 2-hour stream of we're going to break down the discovery demand. I mean, I could do that, and yeah, maybe people will super chat me, but like that's kind of, I'd argue that's kind of a shit way to do this. So I don't do it that way. So anyway, it's the defendant's demand for disclosure, and I call it a written demand for discovery. Who knows? Anyway, it's the state of Minnesota versus Nick. Here's the court number, case number, and they're saying pursuant to Rule 9 of the Minnesota Rules of Criminal Procedure, the defendant demands that the state forthwith make the following written disclosures prior to such time as the defendant is required to waive or demand a hearing on the issue of probable cause. So he's allowed to make demands for information. And he's demanding disclosure of the names and persons of everyone the state intends to call. So is that going to be for the probable cause hearing and the suppression, because they're doing an omnibus hearing, they're doing it all at once. Is that going to be the pastor? Possibly, probably. Is it going to be the detective? Yep. Is it going to be the sergeant who did a report? Yep. Is it going to be all the people from church? Yeah, probably, possibly, maybe not. I don't know. Is it going to be people from CPS because they're tangentially involved? Sure, they might say, yeah, to some of the charges. I don't know who they're going to bring in. There's a lot of people who could show up. So the NCIC, and that's just the system when everything gets run through. And BCA is the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. So that is what they're asking for there is because, and every state has them. For Georgia, they're called the Bureau of Criminal Investigation. Here in Ohio, they're called the Attorney General runs a Bureau of Criminal Investigation. They have sworn officers. They do all kinds of stuff. They have their own internal state database that police can use. So the National Crime Information System, all the leads printouts, all that stuff that gets printed out about the witnesses that are being disclosed, because you have the right to know, do these people have records? Any statements known to the prosecutor that relate to the case, whether it's a written or recorded statement, a written summary of an oral statement saying, I talked to Pastor Bob or Kevin or whatever his name is, and he said blah, 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 blah. That's a written summary of an oral statement. The substance of an oral statement. The names and addresses of the witness who have testified before a grand jury in the case against the defendant. Now, from what I've been able to garner and glean about Minnesota law, there's not going to be a grand jury involved. It's not really an indictment. That really only happens at this point nowadays in murder situations. That's why I'm glad in Ohio you can only face felony charges if you've been indicted. So there's that. And I'm not joking. In Ohio, you can only be indicted. You can only face felony charges through a grand jury. There's literally no other way unless you consent. The names and addresses of a person having information relating to the case. Yeah, all that makes sense. The recorded arrest statements made by the defendant and the co-defendants and or accomplices. whether before or after arrest. Well, in Nick's case, it's going to be, all the information at the stop when they're hitting the house and he's talking to him, and then when he's talking to him at the jail. All recorded audio and video statements made by the alleged mandatory reporter. So they probably had a body cam running when Pastor Melvin is talking. That's going to be available. All recorded statements made by any witness. Now, it doesn't appear, well, we don't have the full reports, I bet. But if another detective went out and ran out there and talked to the people at the church, that's probably going to be on body cam. So that's going to be out there. All body cam footage relevant to this case might be any officer. It's funny, we're asking for that one too. Null is, and hopefully we get it soon because it'll be very interesting to see. All dash cam footage. Well, that'll be interesting, especially because as they were going to hit Nick's house, Nick was driving by and they pulled him over. Maybe we'll find something. But any and all books, videos, grand jury minutes or transcripts, law enforcement reports, or any paper documents which relate to the case. The notice of permission to inspect and photograph buildings which relate to the case. Now, this one really isn't an issue because it occurred in Nick's house. But let's say there was an allegation that, somebody's accused of murder or they're accused of doing something at somewhere else, or they're at a store and there's accused of like shoplifting. Well, they demand the right to go in and inspect the building. And that's part of what you do as an attorney. You're going to go in there, you're going to check the building, you're going to go look at it. Yes, I shouldn't have said you and Null are a we. No, I shouldn't have said it like that. So my apologies to Null. We are not a we. We are not a unit. So I shouldn't say it that way. So thank you for catching that. Thank you for catching me on that. But you have a right to inspect a building. You might have to, you want to go out there and take a look. You're like, there's no way the witness could have seen that from that angle. Or, hey, they claim you ran a stop sign. Well, the stop sign's covered up by a tree. Part of that is you have to go out and do some investigating yourself. Any reports of physical or mental examinations? Well, there's probably nothing like that. But scientific tests, there's going to be some of those. Experiments or comparisons made in contention with the particular connection with the case. They will. There's definitely going to be tests on all those substances that were found. All reports and physical or mental examinations, and this is where you talk about like scientific tests, experiments. And when you think, like, what kind of experiments would they have ran? Well, if you guys have watched CSI, and I hate to use that as an example, but they do experiments like they were hitting the fake skulls to figure out spatter patterns, or experimenting to figure out, could this have happened? How could this have occurred? You have the right to know that information. What did they use? How did they do it? Especially if it's all leading up to them going after someone. And then this here, and this is something people may not understand, and this is something you actually have to do here in Ohio, for the drug testing and all the testing that's done. Normally, if they submit their affidavits with it saying, I'm allowed to do this, I'm licensed and trained and certified, that's good enough unless you demand their presence in writing, and you have to do that. And here, the defense is requesting the in-person testimony of all analysts who perform tests and the results which the state intends to introduce in evidence at trial in the above entitled matter. The defendant is not waiving his right to cross-examine said analyst. He's making them show up because if they don't show up, there's nothing to cross-examine. So, yes, they're saying, by the way, we're making sure you show them up. So, whatever crime lab, and it's the state crime lab or some regional crime lab, wherever it got tested, they're going to demand show up. Access to relevant materials, to allow the defendant to have reasonable tests made. So, for example, Nick would have the right to contact another lab to say, like, hey, I want these things tested. And they could work it out whether some testing will be done. The defendant demands reasonable notice and opportunity to have a qualified expert observe the test or experiment performed by any prosecuting agent. Okay, well, and that agent includes people in the crime lab. So they're going to say, well, we have a right to observe that. If my guy can't be there, he has the right to watch to make sure you did it right. The opinions of anyone the state intends to call as an expert. Well, that's normal. You want the expert opinions. The printouts or any record of charges and convictions for the defendant and the defense witnesses. Any material is within the state's possession that could tend to negate or reduce the guilt, and that's under Brady v. Maryland. And guys, Brady v. Maryland is an ongoing demand. And the state has an obligation to keep doing it, but you see time after time, states aren't prosecutors like hiding shit. So, but they're asking for it all. The written notice of offenses the state intends to introduce at trial. So other acts at trial, so Spriegel, is what they're asking for here. And they cite cases where it happens from. Any evidence and identification procedures not previously disclosed. Specifically things from a search and seizure, wiretapping, or any kind of eavesdropping, if there are pen registers, anything like that, they're asking, and you're very specific about it. Any confessions or admissions made in the nature of confessions made by the defendant. Any evidence of the defendant against the defendant discovered as a result of these confessions, admissions, or statements in nature of confessions made by the defendant. In the case investigating this, any identification procedures that were followed, if there were lineups, show-ups or other observations of the defendant. And the show-up is where, like, if somebody was in the back of a car and they roll them by, and the defendant's standing there and say, yep, that's him. Or they're going through a photo array, or they're going through a lineup, and they say, like, turn to the left, turn to the right. All those things. They're asking for all of it. The notice in existence of anybody with the material information to which the defendant is entitled pursuant to the word or spirit of Minnesota Rule 9.01. They're also demanding that the state promptly notify the defendant of any information or witness subject to disclosure discovered subsequent to the initial compliance with this rule. Now, typically with rules of discovery, it's an ongoing obligation on both sides, but you make the argument because that way it's in there. If it's written down, you could say, I specifically asked for this, and if the state doesn't comply, it's something you could try to beat them over the head with. All the requests are made in pursuant to Rule 9.03 and State v. Lindsay. I don't exactly know what that means, but they're made pursuant, and they're not waiving other issues there. Any oral statement made by the defendant before or after the arrest, in response to interrogation by the person the defendant knew or reasonably could have known was a government agent. Well, in this case, Nick talked to government agents. The ability to inspect and reproduce any books, papers, documents, or anything tangible that was obtained from or belonged to Nick, concerning which the state intends to use it in evidence at trial, or in which in any way concerns the instant case, irrespective of their intent to use it in court. So anything Nick had that they took, let's say he had a ledger where he was like keeping track of everything. As Stringer Bell says, why you making notes about a criminal conspiracy? But people do. If he documented himself doing stuff. Remember, don't film yourself committing crimes. But let's say he did. Let's say he took a bunch of Polaroids. Those would be things that they'd want. They want any and all witness statements that are in any way relevant to the prosecution. Any reports of physical or mental examination, scientific tests, and comparisons, and the original notes of the persons who conducted said examinations. Now, you guys might wonder, the original notes, well, sometimes, and there's cases where, the expert's like, yeah, actually, I don't think this is going to work, or I don't think they did it. And that's the original test, the original notes. And then later on, the notes are like, nope, they did it. Well, you have a right to those notes because those original notes are exculpatory. In Toledo, many years ago, there was a fire that a guy set for his kind of slumlord apartments that he had. That's the way the story goes. And the fire department showed up and they tried to put out the fire, and a firefighter got killed. And one of the arson investigators had a set of notes that he destroyed. And those notes were likely exculpatory from what everybody was able to figure out. And the defendant was entitled to them. So there are very serious things here. Written notice of any additional material information which you discover from time to time before or after the trial of this matter. So anything you find at any point, keep sending it to me. It's an ongoing obligation. Uh, the disclosure of permission to inspect any investigative reports prepared by the state, its agents, or employees, and the investigation and evaluation, including handwritten notes of witness interviews. So it's not just the typed up narratives, but I want to see what were your handwritten notes. So when you watch these videos of people in there and the detectives scribbling crap down, I want to see what that says. Because let's say the detective's writing at the bottom, like, oh my God, this guy's so full of shit, I don't believe him. Well, that's important to know because guess what he's not going to put in the report? Or whatever it is he puts down. You have the right to know that it exists. The results of any examinations and anything they intend to use as part of their case in chief, which makes sense. Any material not known to the state which may become known or which through due diligence may be learned from investigating officers or the witnesses, which is exculpatory in nature or favorable, or which may lead to exculpatory materials, saying, yeah, hey, we found out about this information, this witness, and it sounds like this witness may have information that may help Nick. They have to tell the defense, hey, we heard about this witness. You got to go find him. But here's his information. It sounds like he, may have exculpatory information. Any and all drug toxicology test by the defendant or by anybody who was taken into custody, which I don't think occurred here. So like I said, some of this is boilerplate, but you leave it all in because then it's never forgotten. And you never know. Honestly, Nick doesn't know. He doesn't know what happened to Kayla. He doesn't know what happened to April. And you never know what's taken. Any and all social media interactions, regardless of the platform, between the individual defendants, between defendants and potential witnesses, including those who provided basis for any warrants. So, hold on, guys. Anyway, if the defendants are on social media, they're Snapchatting or they're Instagramming each other and DMing each other, and there's witnesses who were involved in those DMs, they have the right to know about those. You think that would count as a written statement? Because I think you would consider that too. But you know what? You ask for it here anyway because it's called belt and suspenders. Why do you wear belt and suspenders? Because then your pants never fall down. And nobody really does belt and suspenders. It's just a saying, chat. Some of you might be thinking, wow, Sean, that'd be a really strong belt for you. And you'd be right. Any cell phone data obtained from the defendants, I'm betting they hoovered Nick's cell phone at some point to get data off of it. Where is he getting the drugs from? Who is he buying from? How many times has he bought? What can we gain from this? Is he, all the information there. I'm sure his cell phone got hoovered up. Any all cell phone data from any party related to the prosecution. Any forensic evidence obtained from the items seized, including containers in which items were found. So any of the forensic stuff, fingerprints, any sort of analysis done on them. Any warrant or petitions for a warrant to monitor social media, internet activity, internet searches, and cell phone uses of data of the defendant's family members and associates. Now, there's going to be warrants for some of these things, but you're not going to need a warrant, for example, to watch YouTube. For example, Detective Pomplin could just sit there and watch YouTube he could watch YouTube every night. And he doesn't need a warrant for that. Some of this stuff he might need a warrant for. If, for example, you talk to Facebook, you talk to Instagram, and they help you monitor things. Well, you can get a warrant for that. You're going to have to get a warrant for that. And any and all non-privileged information contained in the file. And once again, that's just a big boilerplate at the end saying, give me everything you got. And then just here in all caps, I guess that's just the way they do it there, but screaming at them, you must provide us with all discoveries above requested obtained both prior to and subsequent to the date of this demand. This is deemed to be continuing and ongoing throughout the pendency of this matter. Okay, and you know what? Pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Um, oh my gosh, you guys are awful. Mega Monster saying Francis White's a retard on Twitter. You know what? I'm a big fucking retard on Twitter, so there you go. That doesn't really mean too much. Odds on this going to trial? I mean, you guys are asking me whether or not we're gonna get to overtime, and we're like 6 minutes into the first quarter. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, Nick sound like even Nick with his messages, it's super cryptic. I don't know what he's gonna do. We'll find out. But for right now, I have no idea. I have absolutely no damn idea. 10KV says any movement on Kayla's case. I didn't bother looking because it's going to be similar anyway. It's going to be similar anyway. Let's see. All right. And then moving on to the other thing that happened, and it's the stuff I'm not going to show. I don't know. I would argue I've got some ethical concerns about that, but also I would argue some professional responsibility just from the standpoint of, as an attorney airing out a private document like that. I don't know the nature of how private it is, but here, in Ohio, if I had that and it wasn't my case, I could get in deep shit for that. And number one for that, but number two, people don't like, attorneys necessarily leeching shit out there like that. So I'm going to leave that one alone. But we can talk about all the stuff you guys have seen out there. So obviously, it's been confirmed to be legitimate. Nick has confirmed the authenticity of it. And I saw when you guys brought it up, I was looking at it, and there were some things that made me believe it was authentic. Um, the way it cites multiple different laws, including federal provisions, which, you know what, in Ohio, they mentioned the same things. For it to be a fake and somebody mentioning the Indian Child Welfare Act, like ICWA, it's like that's a very good job. And some of you might think, well, wait, they're not Indians, so why does it matter? And that you have to do that determination. You have to make a finding. The Indian Child Welfare Act does not apply to these children under federal law. That has to be determined. Now, let's get to the actual meat of what's in the allegations. Currently, the kids are in foster care, it says. I don't know what foster care means right now. Does foster care mean grandma and grandpa or some sort of kinship placement? I don't know, because you think it would say kinship placement. Minnesota law may differ. If they're not in kinship placement, something has gone really wrong because for some reason the family can't accommodate the children. But I don't know what that means. We'll have to see more to find out. I'm sure whoever leaked this will leak again, and we'll find out more from there. As far as the hair follicle testing is concerned, hair follicle testing is accurate. It's very accurate. It's more accurate than a piss test. And also with hair follicle testing, it's not, urine tests could show immediate use. Hair follicle tests show a trajectory of someone's use, a look back window. Especially 90 days, it's very accurate in that situation to show how much is in the hair. And then after you can look back a little further, but after a while you lose, laser precision. And in reality, a 90-day look back window is more than enough to figure out what's going on, because if parents are using or somebody's using on a 90-day window, then you've already got more than enough to satisfy what you're trying to allege. So the allegation is one of his kids, it sounds like it's the second youngest, tested positive for cocaine in their hair. And it was at a really high rate, which would indicate long term use. I don't know. Could it be wrong? Sure. Sometimes things are wrong. Sometimes things aren't tested properly. But is it likely? No. I mean, tests are what they are, they're reliable, and it is what it is. Now, I don't know why those numbers are that high or how they got that high. But once again, guys, it's Occam's razor. Sure, you can hold out and say, "Yeah, I want to make sure it's confirmed." Fine, but the odds of it, I mean, you're into lottery ticket territory. of what's going to be right and what's going to be wrong or correct or incorrect. So we'll see. I mean, personally, it doesn't look good. And honestly, the idea of people who are using drugs and the child gets exposed to it, that's kind of normal. That happens all the time. People are using drugs and a younger child gets into it. Now, a lot of times it's like a 3-year-old or 4-year-old gets a hold of some meth or gets exposed to some fentanyl or this, that, and the other. I mean, that's not outlandish. And for an older child, it's not exactly outlandish either. It's definitely within realm of possibility. And anybody who's practiced in these types of cases in this area of law will tell you that's not uncommon or unheard of. Maybe to this level of, in the hair, sure, that's high, but the idea itself is not impossible. I know that people have made allegations of like, oh, well, maybe it got exposed to the hair and the hair absorbed it. That's not really how it works, and the hair wouldn't really absorb it that way. And even the skin doesn't really absorb it in that situation. There's ways you can use cocaine as a topical analgesic, and it has been used that way in a medical setting, but they don't just sprinkle it on you like they're putting, peppers on a piece of pizza, pepper flakes on a piece of pizza, and it just gets absorbed. You have to prepare it and do things. So, like I said, it is what it is. And, despite what people may think and Nick may think, I hope at some point that he does get reunited with his family and they're able to move on and they're stronger. But for right now, it's probably not going to happen. As far as what happens next in that case, I have no idea. It sounds like there still have been no adjudications of whether these children are dependent, and that's going to happen at some point. And it creates a problem because when the parents have criminal charges, they have to be careful because what they say or do there in court can be used against them in a criminal setting. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Now, as far as other things that'll happen in Nick's case, yeah, we'll cover them at some point. We will. We'll cover them at some point. But it's probably going to be updates like this, guys. Unless there's some sort of motion that's requiring a dispositive action, such as like a motion to suppress, a motion challenging probable cause, a motion to dismiss, insert whatever, like an actual motion that required significant work to be put into it. It isn't just a kind of boilerplate filing. Yeah, we'll have a separate stream for that or some updates on things happen. But for right now, we're kind of in that lull. Think about it's like the July crisis in World War I. Everything, things were moving and things were kind of getting set up. But after Franz Ferdinand got smoked, there was diplomatic, saber rattling and screaming and hollering. But after a while, the world was holding its breath and waiting. And there's going to be a waiting period here, guys. So just be prepared. Be prepared for the long haul. Let's see here. Let's see what you guys have to say. Here says the state should call the cancer man to the stand. Jim Medica rolls up in his wheelchair. That'd be great. Oh, given that he's really sick, he could probably still testify with a mask on. That way he doesn't have to ever have to show his identity. Debbie O is saying, for those who like fiction, John Sanford has a series of books / audiobooks about the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension with a character, Virgil Flowers. Very entertaining. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Cars in Depth says, can the state take hair samples from kids without a warrant? I would presume they got a warrant because that is a taking. It's just that warrant may not have been one that got leaked out. So I would presume that, they got a warrant because I would argue they have to have a warrant to do that. Unless they're going to make the argument of, well, now we're the custodians, so we don't need a warrant because we're the ones in charge of them. which I could see them trying to make, but I'd still be raising holy hell about a warrant. Is that really going to do anything at the end of the day? No. I mean, the court's going to, it's juvenile court. You know, the there's only one rule in juvenile court. What's the best interest of the child? Now, I'm speaking rather flippantly, but that's basically how juvenile courts really operate. So, Cat Not Williams said, get the 5 memberships. Thanks, Cat. Danny Hardesty is saying in response to the discovery motion, there's an old saying, be careful what you ask for, you might get it. Yeah, but it's not like they're going to show up, the state's going to show up with like a Ryder truck full of banker boxes full of paper. There's only going to be so much. I mean, heck, I've got a guy who got charged with aggravated murder. There's only probably 3,000 pages of discovery. And yeah, there were 90 gigs of electronic data, but a lot of it wasn't related to my client. And I looked through it all, and there's a bunch of interviews. It's really not that bad. And for a case like this, it's not going to be super huge. There's going to be some, there's going to be some reports. There's going to be some body cam. There's going to be some test results. This is not going to be as big as I think a lot of people are thinking it might be. T. Reese says, we got your back, blogger. Thank you. Alpha Fox saying potentially null. No. Garrett saying Barnes will save Nick. Yeah, he might. He might come in out of nowhere and save the day. EDW Raptor saying Francis White is a farm plant. That's right. The tentacles are everywhere. Carlos Ramirez has been a member for 16 months, says, are you sure your hair is not coated with Coke? Hold on. Aw. Nope. Sadly, no. And it's actually a good thing that because the way Clyde, climbs up on me and sniffs around, he'd be tweaked out. Egalitarian bitch is saying mad respect for the way you cover the situation. Stay classy. Well, thank you. Bebop and Rocksteady. Those are my dudes. I love those guys back in the day. Bro, I've missed the entire Reed trial, but it seems like you're dedicated and always have a stream. Can I get a short update from the start, like highlights, especially any state shenanigans? Thanks. Okay, yeah, we'll do the crash course on it. John O'Keefe was found dead in a snowdrift, and he's got a bunch of head trauma. They're accusing his girlfriend of smacking him with a car, backing into him and knocking him dead and leaving him to die. It's a 25 to 30 mile an hour vehicle collision where the head's the only real source of injury, which doesn't make any sense. And the idea is basically John's head or his arm smashed into the rear tail light, and that went off basically like a claymore and dispersed shrapnel all over the area. They're blaming Karen Reed. A bunch of the people who were in the home, they basically destroyed all their cell phones before the police could ask for them. There are a lot of concerns that they all know each other. They know the investigators. The state really hasn't proven its case. And up until today, when the medical examiner has testified, you could probably skip the past 25 days. You could start day 27 and catch up. It's really not that bad. You could kind of forgo all the other shenanigans. Honestly. I think that's the best way to say it. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. I hope that answers your question because I can't do it any quicker than that. And I will also say, if you do want to learn about things, Turtle Boy is doing really good coverage of the case. Him and I may have differences of opinion on how he did things with the witnesses, but overall, his bringing this case to light, I actually think is good. Because if he hadn't done it, nobody would have brought it to my attention. And because of a couple of you out there who absolutely annoyed the dog piss out of me to cover Karen Reed, I'm now covering. And yeah, I think she's innocent. And at the very least, the state can't prove her case. So that's where I'll stop with Karen Reed. Moose Nut says I'm here to start over. Yeah, we're good. And T. Reed, guzzling the dumb fuck juice. Here's the thing. I said all that, and you know what? I still think because Turtle Boy and I have talked since then, and he would like to come on at some point, and I told him I would be happy to have him on. If he as long as he clears it with his attorney, and that's just because I'm an attorney, and I don't want to put. I feel like I have an ethical duty to make sure he consults with his counsel. And yeah, do I think Turtle Boy did some stuff wrong? And in hindsight, seeing really what we've seen now at this point in the trial, is it really that bad? Should I have called it guzzling dumb fuck juice? I don't think so. I think it was poorly advised and poorly planned out. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, yeah, his heart's probably in the right place, but there's probably better ways to do it. But that said, like, I still think he's got a hill to climb on a couple of these charges. Most of them, do I think he could beat? Sure, and we covered that the one night. But I think a couple of them are going to be a little tougher sales to a jury. So, am I a turtle writer now? No. No, I think they did a great job on a lot of things, but I think he still does some stuff that I don't think was the best way. So, what are you guys talking about here? Hold on, I'm trying to catch up all the chats. Joseph Nash is saying Nick condemns us for exactly what made him. I'm a little lost what you're referring to there, but if you want to clarify, I'll take a look at it. And then over in Rumble in the Ghetto, Virosov saying Rumble is awful. Big Peacenik says Rumble is for faggots. Shade Chaser says we're all faggots here. Ecody is saying over Ecody3261 is saying how much longer is Karen retrial going? I'm only briefly followed it. The state's supposed to wrap up tomorrow. I think they're going to wrap up with the medical examiner. And then Turtle Boy, I saw his clip. He interviewed, or he got a statement from Yannetti today. Yannetti thinks they'll be done by next week. So it sounds like it's almost over. The judge said she wanted to give it to the jury by the end of the month, and looks like the defense is going to be able to deliver on that. Let's see what else you guys are watching. Saying that wench, saying foster care in Minnesota is a nightmare. Yeah, I mean, foster care is not, a lot of places foster care is not really good. I mean, that's kind of one of the fucked up things in America, among many in the interactions with the criminal justice system or the juvenile court system or the family court system. There's a lot of problems. YSL trial. Yeah, we're going to move on to that next. So, guys, we have been covering the YSL trial, and that's the young slime life trial. Young Thug and the boys down in Hotlanta, which, if you guys are not aware, YSL Records is the label he started. The Fulton County Prosecutor's Office, headed by the esteemed Fannie Willis, why did I say Lewis? Willis, has alleged and indicted them for RICO. Yes, the same type of RICO Trump was indicted for. And has alleged these guys were a de facto street gang who were doing all kinds of things, including shootings, drug dealings, extortion, racketeering, prostitution, all that fun stuff, and murders. And they based this RICO prosecution on a murder that occurred back in 2015. Now, we started covering this last week. Last week in the trial, the Judge Glanville, and the prosecution had a secret ex parte meeting with one of the witnesses who was testifying. This witness is sympathetic to Young Thug and everybody that's in the trial currently. And he has stated that he wasn't going to testify. And if they forced him to testify, he was going to lie. Well, the judge and the prosecutors basically told him, hey, that's okay, buddy. Whatever you got to do, just come in and testify. Well, you might call that witness tampering. I would too. Other people would also call that suborning perjury. I call it that as well. So, as a result of that, Young Thug's attorney, his actual attorney, Brian Steele, and Keith Adams found out about this. And they challenged the judge and said, why are you having ex parte meetings without us knowing about it? Because the defense never knew about it till they confronted the judge. And the judge's response was to say, "Tell me who told you, or I'm sending you to jail." And Brian Steele said, "I dare you." And Judge Glanville put Brian Steele in contempt, made him stand there. Brian Steele took off his tie, took off his belt, took his cufflinks out, and he marched into the back with his head held high. The judge made him sit there for like 15 minutes, brought him back out, and said, "Well, we'll finish the trial first." So at the end of the day, he sat there and said, "Are you going to tell me?" And the judge said, he told the judge, "Nope." So the judge sentenced him to 20 days in jail to be served over the next 10 weekends. Brian Steele's response was, "Well, can I serve him with my client in his cell so we can prepare?" Like straight up gangster move right there. The judge, said, "Oh, we'll accommodate that." In the meantime, the Supreme Court of Georgia has said, "You're not going to jail. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of this." So Brian Steele doesn't have to worry about jail right now. There have been a flurry of motions demanding the judge recuse himself, that the judge has violated the rules of professional conduct. Remember, he's an attorney, so he's bound by the rules of ethics. He's bound by the judicial rules. He's bound by multiple court rules. He's bound by the Constitution. And he's been taking a massive shit over all of this. And he still has been this week. So Judge Glanville at this point is really kind of like running full speed. He's speed running the getting kicked off the bench mode, because he's really doing a lot of crazy shit. And in response to all of this, there has been now filed with the Supreme Court of the state of Georgia. So the Georgia Supreme Court is seeking a writ of mandamus, an emergency writ of mandamus, and a staying of the proceedings. Now, if you guys don't know who DeMonte Kendrick is, that's Yak Gotti. That's who that is. I mean, so if I say DeMonte Kendrick, you guys are going to be like, who? If I say Jeffrey Williams, you're going to be like, who? If I say Young Thug and Yak Gotti, you're like, oh, cool. So they are versus the Judge Ural Glanville. And this is how you file these, because you are basically suing him and forcing a court to make him do something. And in this situation, the writ of mandamus is the judge should recuse himself. And they're demanding that he do that and that the judge file his recusal. And that's going to be their argument. This is a really long motion. It's, 83 pages, guys. We're not going to cover it all, but just want you to understand what this is, okay? So they're explaining the emergency nature. Basically, this judge is doing whatever the fuck he wants, and he won't stop. The relief sought, they want this judge off the damn case. The issues presented, the statement of facts. I mean, this goes on for a while. And then the secret ex parte meeting. The events in court about the time of the ex parte meeting. Judge Glanville's hearing on the motion to recuse, where he said, "I ain't doing it." Those are all being argued. We'll probably do this another night coming up, because I think this requires its own look. There's so much in here. Ag saying based. Yes. Yes, a real thug move. Yep, a real thug move. You could almost say it's, I've been using the piss out of us lately, but it's true.
This is an OG call.
Yeah, these attorneys and Young Thugs in the trial, all the defense attorneys, every single one of them has been doing some epic shit. These guys are just they are doing it super professionally, and certainly they're all planning it out together. They're working together, but they are just taking this judge to the woodshed. And they're taking the prosecutors to the woodshed, because the prosecutors willingly had this ex parte hearing with a party who is a sworn in witness, and they promised not to prosecute this witness for lying, and they said it's okay if you lie. You're not allowed to do that. That's actually really, really, really bad. You can't say, "Oh, it's okay, bro. Go ahead and lie." You're not allowed to do that. Not allowed to do that. Coke Fairy says they very may well be guilty. If they're guilty, I can't tell, because the prosecution's case is really fucking awful. So no, at this point they're not guilty, and you know what? This needs to get tossed. And the thing is, if nothing happens, this case is still dead on arrival. This judge has fucked the case up so much. The prosecutors have fucked this case up so much. It's gonna come back no matter what. So I hope there's a mistrial and it's a dismissal with prejudice, because otherwise it's not fair to Young Thug and these guys. They've been in jail for almost 2 years now dealing with this. And then having to wait another 2 years to get this trial rolling, which then could take 2 more years. I mean, this case started January 2023 and is expected to go till 2025. It's going to take forever. Forever. So, the best of luck to everybody down there. The content lasagna or the content lasagna. It's still one of those things, tomato, tomato. It's been a member for 3 months. He's saying, would you go to jail to protect your client over an ex parte meeting? Yes. Now, I mean, here's the deal. Everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to do gangster shit. All the attorneys out there on Twitter are like, this dude's awesome. Brian Steele, Keith Adams, every single one of them is awesome. I hope I have as big as balls as them and that I don't fuck my client over like that. I will support my client. I will go to the mats. But you know what? Everybody says that until you're facing it. So, yeah, I'll tell you right now, I would. And when that time comes, I hope I still got the balls to do it. I believe I will. And I'm sure the judge says, well, I'm taking in the back. I'm going to say, can I get a tray first before I go? And hopefully it's a decent meal that day. I mean, although let's be real, jails really don't have good food. But I'll ask you guys to help me put commissary on my books. That'll be the part of this. There'll be an emergency GoFundMe stream. Sean needs commissary. Help him out. He's wasting away. Panzer Dude says, who brought it up, Brian? Answer the question, says the judge. Ag Biochemist says, Glanville is such a prick. Yes, he is. And I think at this point, because Steve Gosney has been on a couple of times we've been covering this stuff, he needs to be removed from the bench. It's not even a matter of taking him off this case. He needs to not be a judge anymore. This is dangerous. And he's not learning. Robert says, ham and cheese sandwiches for 20 days. Oh, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Oh, I am not a ham guy. Some of you might be like, really? I'm like, I don't like ham. Ham's not my favorite. Panzer, I'll send you one honey bun for a ciggy. That's a lot of ramen. The funny thing is, I don't eat ramen. But I'll need soup monies, yeah. And EDW Raptor, you're right. I could use a jailhouse diet. Yep. Put me for 20 days. I'll be coming out doing dips between stacks of books like in Cape Fear. Be making pruno. Oh my gosh. I prefer the bologna. Yes, bologna is a superior meat than ham. Bologna is amazing. Even fried bologna, it's not my favorite, but I'll eat it. SB Sellers just no conjugal in Ohio. I know, and they won't be able to do a stream either. Have to do like a 3-way call. Be like Chili DeCastro. I would come out like Ed Norton in American History X. I would go in there like Ed Norton in American History X. Beef bologna or regular. All bologna is good. There isn't really a bad bologna that's out there. Taylor Cook has been a member for 5 months. Is saying, side note, cheap wheel guns, meaning revolvers, are silly fun. Yes, they are. You get the key is cheap. And it's hard to find cheap and safe and reliable. You have to get all three things: cheap, safe, and reliable. All right. You guys wish me a million sandwiches. Thank you. All right. All right, guys, we are moving on from there. We need to get on to some fun stuff. And, you just you love to see it. The Southern Poverty Law Center. If you guys may have heard of them, they declare everybody they don't like is a racist, and everyone they don't like is an extremist. But the Southern Poverty Law Center has been laying off employees, which they are engaged in restructuring, which, yeah, it's, oh, well, with all the money they get, how do they, I guess there really isn't that much hate and extremism out there in the world. So, they did not, they're laying off more than 60 employees, which doesn't really tell us how many, but hopefully it's all of them. It's followed several years of turmoil, including the dismissal of its founder, Morris Dees, as in Dees Nuts, who was accused of a lot of fucked up shit. And they've had a rough time lately. Now, it's funny because their workers are unionized. And guess what that union did? The union's going to war with the SPLC, and why not? Let them fight. So the SPLC, with nearly $1 billion in reserves, and I don't doubt that for a second that they're well charged and well funded. And it received an F rating by Charity Watch, gutted its staff by a quarter. I'm surprised they're that small, but they said that the reductions were a difficult but necessary decision to align our work with our pragmatic priorities and goals. The SPLC said it's consolidating certain programs and activities and eliminating others, which resulted in staff reductions. Well, when you run around screaming about my racism and there isn't my racism, you got to figure out a new target. And they weren't good. They didn't rebrand. Now, if you guys weren't aware of who they are, they were founded in 1971 as a nonprofit for minorities and the underprivileged to help deal with legal issues. They famously won a $7 million judgment against the United Klans of America, on behalf of a woman whose son was killed by the Klan in Mobile, Alabama. And now they are on the move to dealing with the LGBTQ community, mainly the Troons, and they maintain a list of extremist organizations, which, everybody's a terrorist. Everyone's a terrorist. So, like I said, guys, you can file that in the, lol folder. Because I certainly give a hearty laugh about it. Siobhan is saying, you know what's funny? When you sue a bunch of black people and Jews for discrimination as a white person. Yeah. Kazuhira Miller says, Safa SPLC. Yep. Bella's saying the SPLC beat the KKK, and they did. They sued them into fucking oblivion. I'd laugh if the union beat the commies. Well, I'd laugh if the Bolsheviks took down the SPLC. Yes, that would be hilarioso. Would be very hilarious. There's not enough hate supply out there to meet their demand. No, nope. Kat says, now do the same with the ADL. From your lips to God's ears. Gabriel Lucas says, weren't they allied with the Weather Underground? Something tells me no, but let's see. Hmm. Let's see here. Oh yes, well, the SPLC has engaged with Bill Ayers, the leader of the Weather Underground and Barack Obama's mentor. Yes, the guy who was bombing police stations and college campuses and whatever else he wanted to bomb to usher in a communist revolution on par with the Khmer Rouge, where they would just kill off everybody. Yes, the SPLC interviewed him for a magazine article back in the 80s. So yeah, they do have a little bit of like they're fellow they're fellow travelers, no doubt. They're all communists. They all fly out of the helicopter the same way. You know, when you throw them out the back door, they all fall and scream the same way. Most, if not all, of chat would be on their list. Yes. Yes. 100%. Yes. It's the Freemasons' fault. Why the free ones is because they don't. I was gonna never mind. I'm gonna make a dad joke. They all splash. Well, they all splat. Yes. Pinochet Helicopter Tours LLC. Yes. I'm on their list. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm on their list personally. Everybody makes their list. If you don't make their list, are you really, if you don't make their list, that makes you lame. Just something to think about. Sheeple Hunter says, I have a Timothy McVeigh tattoo. Shh. How did you know? You didn't see that side. Okay. J Rock says he personally saw to that. Okay, well, thank you for helping. So, guys, it is a funny thing that happened there, but another funny story. And I think we need a little bit of funniness that we need a second one here. And we covered this a while ago. Jack Blakesley, an attorney down in Southern Ohio, he had a bit of an issue about wanting to take a shit in a Pringles can. And we've talked about this before. And this is where I get he poops in a Pringles can. Cool. I've got that part. I've got that part down. Is he like standing the can up and then he like hops a squat over it and just like pitches a growler right into it? Or is he like pooping in the toilet or pooping on the ground and like picking it up and like shoving it in? And then when he shoves it in, is it like a mason putting mortar on a brick? Is he kind of like shoving it in and like wiping his hand off on it and then closing the lid? Like I have questions about how he's doing this. So anyway, he would take these and he would throw them out the window of his car. And the last time he did it, the most recent time, was on his way to court in Guernsey County, Ohio. And it's a town called Cambridge. It's big enough. So he's driving to court for a guy who's been charged with murder. And he throws it out the window in the middle of town. And where he throws it was at towards the office of the victim advocates, who were going to that same court hearing because they were representing the victims of the murder. And guess what? Hilarity ensued. A lot of hilarity ensued. So he was suspended ultimately for 6 months. And he was disciplined for that by the Supreme Court. And this is back in November. Well, it's all done. And they said that he's complied with all his conditions and there's no further misconduct. So he gets his license back. And yes, he was on surveillance camera dropping it off there at the Victims Advocacy Center. Normally, a lot of times they'll suspend a sentence. They'll suspend a suspension. Will be on like probation. Like they'll suspend the suspension and they'll hold it in abeyance, and you'll be under like probation at that point. But because this involved him like whipping turds around, like, yeah, is this guy crazy or not? So, but he said he didn't target anyone and that he had done this at least 10 times that year. I mean, like, and I think we did the math at that point. It had been at least like once a month he was doing this, which, is that your monthly thing? Like you the timing of the cycle, you're like, I must shit in the Pringles can now. And you just pop one in there and just out the window you go. Um, and that's the thing. And there was a bit of an issue. He knew exactly what was in that building, and he was scheduled to see them 15 minutes later, representing someone in a capital murder case. And I forgot it was a capital murder case, but yes, that means a death penalty was involved. He's been an attorney since 1976, and he had no other discipline on his record. And he said a little bit of that could have been tied to his time in Vietnam, which the court said, okay, but still. And yes, he's back out there, chat. He's back out there, chat. So, and this is out in front of the Supreme Court of Ohio. Big gavel. So, he's back out there. He's back out there. Was this his own doo-doo or someone else's doo-doo in the cans? Oh no, this is entirely his doo-doo. This is entirely his turds. I mean, that would be even worse, Dr. Ben, if you're like, because how would you get a hold of someone else's shit? You'd have to like go to like somebody's house and like pop off, because this is way down in southeastern Ohio. You're gonna have to go pop somebody's lid off their septic tank and go honey dipping. Are you gonna go in there and ladle out some steaming piles of shit and pour them in the can? Or you, like in downtown Cambridge, you could pop a sewer lid, I guess, and snake out some turds. But I just don't know, like, how would you do this otherwise if they're not yours? That's a logistical issue I can't figure out. Now, if you can figure it out, I'd be interested to hear it. MF Boat the First says this guy's IQ is 210. I know when they watch that security camera video, they're like, "Oh my god, it's Jason Bourne." And Brandon says, "How old is this guy?" Well, he's been practicing since 76, so 50 years, like probably late 70s, mid 70s. Um, Perica Nemesto says, "Sup, big dog? How you doing?" What a cartoonish statue to have outside of court. Yeah, well. Future Mrs. Martin 2.0 is saying, at Fire Red Podcast, I heard there was drama, but no details. All okay. I don't know what you guys are all talking about, so I have no idea what you're talking about with any drama. So you guys need to fill me in. I need a TLDR. I don't know what's going on. Mavka saying, if my lawyer got hit with something like this, does my case get continued? Presumably they would appoint somebody immediately to represent you. That's not that guy. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But that is a good question. Because they wouldn't continue it for 6 months. They would put another lawyer on it, because that would just be. Chadwick Meyer says lawyers don't lose their license unless they steal money. Yeah, that's really the big one, but this was still a big thing. Charlie says one lawyer, many Pringles cans. Yes. James Olin says check public toilets, Lamau. But I assume most people are flushing their toilets. Panzer Dude says, you just ask them for their poop. You just walk up and be like, sir. You go up to you're at the truck stop. You just, excuse me, sir. Can I have your turds, please? I'm sure that's not going to work. Oh. So you guys are saying, let's see, what are you guys saying here? Big Piece saying Cambridge, Ohio has a very nice Christmas display downtown every year. Oh my God, guys, you don't know. They don't. No, their Christmas display every year is creepy as hell. Cambridge, Ohio, like, hold on here. So Cambridge, Ohio, they do this weird thing, and the first time I saw it, it was creepy. But they have like mannequins out in town as part of their Christmas decorations. So like the first time I can't find good pictures of it. I was down that way, and the first time I saw it, I was driving through, and I was like, "Oh, I go look at the lights. Oh, the courthouse lit up." And you see people like leaned up against a lamppost in downtown, and they're not moving. And you're like, "What the fuck?" And you, oh my God, it's a mannequin. Like they're fucking weird down there, man. It is weird. It's weird. It's weird. You also skip my Clyde chat. I haven't gotten to it yet. Fenris is saying Gallipolis and Lights is where it's at. I've heard that, and I've never been down there for Christmas. But yes, Gallipolis or Gallipolopolis down on the Ohio River is apparently very nice for Christmas. So, let's say we got to get these super chats here, though. Okay. Brandon Lesko says for $4.99, free Clyde. Hold on. Hey, Clyde. I hear the click clacking. Come here, buddy. Come on, hey, come here. Oh, hi. Hello. Yes, he got a haircut, chat. So, hi, buddy. Hi. So, yes, he's alive. Base Shaman for $10. Thank you for the super chat. Saying, Rekieta is done for me when he said F off to those trying to help because I don't care about my image. My addict's brother's last words to my father was, fuck you. My father was trying to hand him $500. Yeah, I can understand. A lot of people have personal. Oh, hi, buddy. Hi. People have personal, very, very strong opinions on this. Thank you for the super chat. Mother of Papillon saying, Sean, are you from Northern Ohio? I grew up in Elyria. Yes, I am. I'm from Northeast Ohio. Yep. Grew up way over on the west side, in the western counties. Not like on the west side of like the suburbs or West Cleveland, like way out on the western side of everything. Way out there in the middle of nowhere. Sir Marhouse is saying for $4.99, my phone lock screen used to be Uncle Ted, and my professor saw and gave me a look. I told her she would save because her name isn't a wood pun. Funny. Chadwick Myers says not for 4 months. No IOLTA foul, no harm verified. Yeah. Malcolm Combs, been a member for 2 months, says I could have swore I read the SPLC was laying off 23%. Yes. And then EDW Raptors continuing the genocide of the Greys out there with 5 more memberships. Thank you. Do you want down, buddy? Huh? What's wrong? What are you staring at the safe for? Are you going to use a gun? Are you going to do something? Are you going to go postal? Huh, buddy? Hmm? Do you want down? Are the feds breaking in, buddy? What's up? What do you hear? Tell me. Tell me what you hear. All right, buddy, I'll put you down. You can go see 2.0. Good boy. He's such a good boy. Are you okay? Here, hold on. I'll give you a treat. Here, buddy. Here you go. All right, chat. We're going to just keep going here, though. Okay. Where are we at here? The internet is not safe, Boomer. Yes. Clyde is being better on stream. Yes, he is. Clyde senses the Sonichu bag. treats for Clyde. Clyde is seeing things. Oh, he's seeing a lot of stuff, man. He's been the Nom. He's been the dog version of Nom. So, okay. Where are we at? That's all done. Sorry, I got to close these tabs as I go here. Okay, so we are on to what's going on in Supreme Court. Supreme Court updates. What's going on with the Supreme Court? Well, some stuff has happened. And last week we were going to cover Garland v. Cargill. We were probably going to do that Saturday night. That is the bump stock case. And yes, this is helpful. It is a Second Amendment win. But really, guys, the true win here is that the administrative state got its ass whooped. Because the ATF got its pee-pee slapped, that actually can be used for people attacking other agency actions going forward. That's the real victory. Yes, bump stocks are now legal again. Cool. The ATF taking it up the ass in front of the whole world, even better. And I do agree with Fudbusters when he was commenting on this. This will be something that can be used. The ATF looked like assholes as a result of this. So it can be used against them going forward. Hold on here. No, sir, what you guys are talking about over in Rumble. Gabriel Wilkins says, I hope the NFA is next. I mean, I'm serious, guys. Here's the deal. It's not happening. It's not happening. The NFA, I don't think even a Supreme Court of 9 Clarence Thomases is going to revoke the National Firearms Act. As based as he is, I don't think he's down with the idea of me bolting a pintle mount for an M240 on the sunroof of my car. Okay? I don't think he's cool with a vending machine full of grenade launchers. I truly don't see that happening, guys. I think a lot of things could probably get delisted off the NFA. I'm sure eventually going after silencers, short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns, those things probably will get removed. But machine guns, nope. And maybe destructive devices, maybe. But that's about it. Machine guns are definitely never going off. As much as I'd love to see it. So, what if you have a Toyota Hilux? Yes, that's the thing. The right, shall not be infringed, especially if a Toyota Hilux. That's the free pass. And here's the thing, guys. I'm not telling you not to dream about it. I'm just telling you the reality. It's probably not going to happen. Much as I'd love for it to happen, it's probably not going to happen. So, in addition to that, there have been some other Supreme Court cases that have come out. But the biggest ones that are still out there, regarding the 1512 charge that everybody for January 6th has been charged with, Fisher, United States v. Fisher, has still not been announced. And then obviously the other big one is US v. Trump regarding presidential immunity. That has not been announced. And I know people are freaking out because, oh my God, the court hasn't got to it yet. The Supreme Court has heard this case and will probably render its decision, it'll render it this month. In the course of 7 months, they went from granting cert to delivering an opinion. That's the Supreme Court moving at the speed of fucking light. That is massively fast. Now, sure, they were pretty fast with some 2020 election cases. Sure, but those were they answered those pretty quickly. This is going to be a complete opinion. This is going to take them 7 months to put together and get done. I mean, that's impressive. That's very, very impressive. So that'll be coming out soon too. Remember, that was the last, it's probably going to be the last one, but it's also, it makes sense. That's the last one. So I know some of you are worried about that one. It'll come out when it comes out. There was an interesting one, though, that did come out today. And it's it's a very unique thing here, and we're gonna talk about this one because I do think it works. Why is it not showing? Oh, I had the stage. That's why it didn't show up. So it's the Supreme Court of the United States, and it's Schiavone versus the city of Napoleon, Ohio. And I think this is funny because I used to live out that way, and I practiced out in Napoleon for a little bit. Yes, there is a city in Ohio called Napoleon, and there is, some of you might ask, is there a city in Ohio called Wellington? Yes. Do they ever play each other in sports? No. Are they rivals? No. It's two towns full of farmers, so they don't, who's Napoleon? So no, they are not there. But this was an interesting case. So these police officers charged Schiavone, who owned a jewelry store, with 3 different crimes: receiving stolen property as a misdemeanor, dealing in precious metals without a license, also a misdemeanor, and money laundering, a felony. After obtaining a warrant, they arrested him for 3 days, and he was stuck in jail for 3 days. But afterwards, the prosecutors dropped the case. Now, he had believed that he was unjustified and he was being targeted unlawfully, so he sued the police officers, alleging what's known as a malicious prosecution claim under 42 USC 1983, the deprivation of rights under color of law. So if you guys have ever watched John Bryan, the civil rights lawyer, which if you're not doing it, you're wrong. You should be watching him. I watch him. This is the stuff he does all the time, 1983 cases. So to prevail on this claim, he had to show the officers brought criminal charges against him without probable cause, leading to an unreasonable seizure of his person. Well, what happened? Well, after a while, the district court said nope, they were entitled to protections. The Court of Appeals said that his prosecution was supported by probable cause. So they did point out, though, in its view, there was clearly probable cause with the 2 misdemeanors. Okay. And they were saying because of that, this malicious prosecution claim can't exist. Sorry, it has to fail. Well, that didn't happen. So what did the Supreme Court say? The presence of probable cause for one charge in a proceeding doesn't categorically defeat a Fourth Amendment malicious prosecution claim relating to another baseless charge. And that's good news because previously to this, if the other charges were good, then you were toast. And it's funny because when you read this part, the parties in the United States, as amicus curiae, all agree with this conclusion, which follows from both the Fourth Amendment and traditional common law practice. So that is a very interesting ruling that's come out. Yes, John Bryan's a goat. John is great. I love what he does. You need a license to deal in precious metals. Yeah, I didn't know that either till this case happened earlier today, but yes. Hold on here. I'll bring it up because I looked at it earlier. So where is yeah. So yes, there is an entire precious metal dealer definitions. And there's an entire thing. If you are purchasing things made of gold, silver, platinum, or other precious metals. Now, why do they do this? It's you might think, oh, well, if you're a pawnbroker, you run a pawn shop. Well, you don't need to if you have, if you have a pawn shop license, if you're a pawnbroker, as we call them in Ohio, you can already do all of this. So it's very interesting that if you're doing it on your own, you're just a precious metals guy. You do need that, but yeah, I think it's bullshit. But Trenton says, did you get the Texas grandmother case? That doesn't help me because I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Sorry. Are you talking about the one where the police raided her house and like destroyed it? Because I know that one didn't go well, but After 9/11, they clamped down on dealing in gold. Yes. Really? So Fenris is saying, I am shitting. I am not shitting you. The worst state for license. It is insane. You can be a pawn dealer and need 12 different things for something that is obvious. Really? Well, Fenris is saying, oh, you do need a gold license regardless. Okay. All right. Oh, Gonzalez v. Trevino. Yeah, yes, the lady who was the state kind of fucked the local government fucked with her. Yeah, that one I think needs its own because it's so shitty what they did. Yes, that one probably get its own thing to talk about as well. J-Rock says, yeah, it's the grandmother in Texas. Yes, there's a chip in the QI case. Well, here there's a QI issue too, and they roto-rooter through that, and it's actually very well done. And the neat thing is it's only 18 pages. So, so when you look at it, it's interesting. Justice Kagan delivered the opinion, which Roberts, Sotomayor, Kavanaugh, Barrett, and Jackson all joined. Thomas filed a dissenting opinion, which Alito joined, and Gorsuch filed a dissenting opinion. So, like I said, this is a little bit of a different thing here. Although it's obviously with Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch, probably a little more of the harder right wing of the court here. They dissented. So, yeah. And you know what? If we have time coming up, we'll take a look at this one too. But I thought it was just really interesting, especially because I know this area was kind of neat seeing their name on the ruling. But it was just the idea that why wouldn't you be able to do this to start with? It makes sense. If your case wasn't valid for two of these arrests, well, you should be able to go after them for it. And just because one of them is good, I don't think why would that be fair? Oh, hold on here. What's this? Oh, breaking. What? Hold on here. Oh, okay. Well, somebody mentioned this. So the mayor of Oakland got raided by the FBI today, which, well, not a surprise. Like politicians in California, getting raided by the feds. No way. Say it ain't so. So what happened here? And this is, we'll start off here. KRON, Kron. It's like too bad it's not Chrome. Kron. So the mayor of Oakland, her house got hit with a search warrant. Her boyfriend opened the door and let the feds inside. And the FBI just knocked on the door, shouting, "FBI, open up!" Just like the meme. Oh, they're taking out all kinds of shit. They got all big old boxes. They got some big old boxes. And Fenner's saying in Ohio, you need a separate license to deal in gold, irrelevant of a pawn license. Ooh, okay. I must have reread that wrong. Yeah, Gavin Newsom's going after everybody. Yeah, he's consolidating power. Harbor Warble, yes, that's what she was screaming at him. No, guys, we're on the same team. We're on the same team. Look, I'm a Democrat too. Why? She's like, no. Yes. There were other locations were raided too. Yeah, and we're gonna read through this here. This is interesting. Let's see what happened. An hours-long raid ended when a dozen agents were carrying boxes and envelopes out of the house. The agents declined to speak to reporters. Well, that makes sense. Well, also real quick, I do like all this. I do like all this crap here. In Oakland, 15 were shot in the Juneteenth celebration. It's like, oh boy, that's great news. That's really great news. Like, I guess, yay. It's your month. So the FBI said we can't do anything about it. The raid was related to campaign finance violations. Once again, not a surprise. Some of the easy stuff to get politicians on. They also raided another house in Oakland, and it's connected to a guy named David Duong, whose family owns the Cal State Waste Solutions. The company serves as the Oakland's trash and recycling collector. I'm betting. Oh, really? I'm betting there's some graft and corruption there. I'm sure she was cutting some deals. So, the headquarters for the Vietnamese American Business Association was also was located in Suite 202, and right next to it is Cal Waste Solutions, has an office in Suite 300. Really, I'm sure that's not a coinky dink. I'm sure there was no, hey, my Vietnamese paisan, I'll help you out, bro. I'm sure there was none of that. I'm sure none of that happened. No way. So, but their Mayor Tao made her first overseas trip. She led a delegation to Vietnam. The Vietnamese American Business Association sponsored it, and it was sponsored by Victor Duong, the head of Cal Waste Solutions, their CEO and their vice president. Like, well, very interesting. Not really surprised though. So obviously they're going to say we didn't do it. They're going to say that's not true. But we'll see what happens. I do think it's very interesting though they hit up the house. Although look, they still have the look at this. Look at this. And you know what? 2.0 if you're out there, don't ever give me shit when the mayor of Oakland still has her Christmas decorations up out in the front yard. Look at that joy. It can always be worse. It can always be worse, baby. I mean, look at that. Look at that. So, also, oh my God, hold on. Doctor who drove family off. We're reading this one. The doctor who drove a family off a cliff won't stand trial? What? A doctor intentionally drove his entire family off a cliff at the Devil's Slide. Well, if you're going to do it, if you're going to kill everyone in your family, that's the place to do it. That's the place. Like Galaxy says, I want to be like the mayor of Oakland. I mean, well, just saying. This guy's a king. Self-defense. Oh. I mean, what? So, hold on here. So the judge ruled the father of the two is unsuitable for mental health diversion. It's against Dr. Dharmesh Patel. He will soon walk free out of a jail and begin a court-ordered mental health treatment program administered by a Bay Area hospital. Okay. So his wife and their young children survived the crash in 2023. Oh, he drove them off too. He drove their Tesla off a 300-foot cliff and crashed on the beach below. Woo. Okay. Tesla, good safety rating. So he told them that the crash was an accident. He later admitted it was intentional. The judge made a ruling following a 3-day hearing in the mental health diversion court. The prosecutors made a very strenuous objection. Oh, we strenuously object to you letting this guy go. And this is him. Here we go. He has schizoaffective disorder, and he should stand trial because he tried to kill his family, and he will pose a danger to the public out of custody. What, schizoaffective disorder? Oh, yeah, he will. He'll probably kill someone. He was worried. He was hearing footsteps that his kids would be sold into child sex slavery. So he just kills them. That's a great way to avoid that. Like, I don't want you becoming a sex slave, so I'm going to kill you. He carried a knife around for 3 days. Well, that part, okay. None of this is based in reality. The defendant felt compelled to act. He drove his family over the cliff. It's a high and deathly drop. Well, if it was 40 feet, that'd be a pretty deathly drop, too. His wife testified she does not want her husband prosecuted. What? What? He tried to kill you. I'm just saying 2.0. Like, I know she's listening. If she tried to drive me off a cliff, like me and Clyde were in the car and we both survived, and I come into court holding Clyde like, my prized bundle of joy, I'm probably going to say, yeah, she needs to go to the women's prison. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's all good. Catch you on the flip side. The wife said the kids miss their father and they want him to return home. What? Oh my gosh. I guess. The defense attorney argued not everyone who commits a crime is a criminal. Okay, and that's the defense attorney's job. And that he suffered a mental health crisis on the day of the crash, and he suffers from a major depressive disorder. Oh, I'm sure he does. The judge ultimately sided with Bentley and agreed the proper diagnosis was major depressive disorder. Oh, I'm actually betting it's probably schizoaffective disorder. The judge says he's going to remain in jail for several weeks for what's called a bridging period before he's released to the community. Once he's released from jail, he has to wear GPS, reside at his parents' home, test twice weekly to show medication compliance, stay from alcohol and drugs, and surrender his driver's license and passport. I mean, I think the bigger thing is stay away from cliff faces, but like, whoa. Woo. Okay. That was interesting, chat. I mean, that was interesting. Yes. Ride crash, survive, ride again. Yes. Yes. Hey, that's what I got, lol. Yeah. Yes, she is his cat. Thank you. Yes, it really is his ride or die. Oh. Brittany says, how quick can they respond with the GPS though? Well, they ping him every once, like they'll ping him routinely, and he might have an inclusion zone where there's like a boundary for him, kind of like an electric fence. And if he goes outside of it, there'll be an immediate notice he did it, and then go find him. Does he keep his driver's license? No, it looks like he gave that up. Ken says maybe his wife was a nagging bitch. Not saying I agree with the actions, but I understand. Yeah. The girl sounds like a keeper. That hoe is loyal. Yes. The dick is too good. Well, maybe. Maybe it's that good. POV says women. And Big Chungus, yes, apparently wasn't a deadly drop if they all survived. I guess that's one way to look at it. Sir Marhouse says for $1.99, can we hit it? God bless the goal. Yes. And Fenris is saying for $10, thank you, Fenris. As a pawnbroker, they have to do all the things with precious metals, but it can only be in jewelry form. If they break it down, they have to have a license. Jewelry, okay. Melting it is a no-no. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never had to interact with any pawn shops or ever represent one, so that's good to know, though. It's good to know. EDW Raptor saying, do you think Louisiana's 10 Commandments law will make it to SCOTUS? It's probably going to make it short of that, but yes. And overturned Stone v. Graham. Stone v. Graham came off real subjective. I don't think this 10 Commandment thing is going to survive. And here's the thing that's immediately going to happen. Some Satanists are going to come in and say, we want to put in our gay Satanist stuff. And they're probably going to be able to get away with it. So I think it's going to, this wasn't well thought out. This wasn't well thought out. So. Corey says, watching on a delay. No shit, Sean's from Northern Ohio. If he says Gallipolis like that. Well, it's Gallipolis, but it's Gallipolopolis. I've done that just to piss people off. It's so funny. Yeah, it's Gallipolopolis or whatever it is down there. And they're like, it's Gallipolis. I'm like, well, oh well. Well, yes, Distant, you're right. Gay Satan is already in class. Yes, but having a monument there is going to do it. Fenris says it's gallon of piss. That's what they call it? Gallon of piss? That's what we call it? Gallon of piss. Okay. I thought it was Gallipolis. Then again, though, I mean, we do have other towns called, like, Versailles. Oh. All right. So let's see. We got to catch up. We're here. Okay. Oh, updates for Donald Trump. If you guys are not aware, Trump was suing and appealing the gag order that Judge Merkin exposed, or Merchan, or whatever the hell you call him, imposed on him for the criminal case. The appellate courts, the appeal was dismissed without cost by the court sua sponte, meaning of their own accord, upon the ground that no substantial constitutional question is directly involved. So, court just said, yeah, we look at it, don't care. This isn't a big deal. So, nice try. Bye. Nice try. Too late. Then moving on from there, I know this happened a couple weeks ago, but I don't think we ever got to it. Shohei Ohtani, the Japanese phenom that plays for Los Angeles Dodgers, and his interpreter, I think it's Ippei Mitsuhara. I don't know how you pronounce the first name, or Ippei. Mizuhara was gambling. Now, I understand he took the fall for this, but I'm sure he was gambling for Shohei. I'm sure he was gambling for his person he was interpreting for. Got caught gambling in a massive gambling scandal in Shohei. Yeah, are they Shohei? Or Shohei? Okay, well, Shohei. There you go. The dude's a patsy, yes. Was making massive bets with Japanese underground, Japanese organized crime. And he also is accused of stealing $17 million. It's Ippei. Okay, like Ippei, like the wood in Brazil, just with an extra P and an I. Because Ippei is just IPE. He stole $17 million from Shohei. Which, okay, yeah, that's kind of bad. So he did get indicted federally for a couple different crimes. And it's in the Central District, California, which if you guys aren't aware, that's where LA is, Central District, California. And then from there, he had 2 charges: bank fraud, aiding and abetting bank fraud, and then subscribing to false tax returns. And that was where he helped file false tax returns, and he helped people hide all the things he was stealing. So he had those 2 counts. On the 4th, he did enter a plea, and there was a change of plea. Sorry, you guys probably read that a little better now. So he pled guilty to counts 1 and 2. So pled guilty to counts 1 and 2 of the information. Plea is accepted. There's going to be a pre-sentence investigation report. Sentencing is set for October 25th, 2024, 2 p.m. So there won't be a lot for us to talk about for the next couple of months, but that is it. That's what happened there. I know we talked about it. We covered the indictment the last time. It was very interesting, kind of funny. Yes, he stole the money, but yeah, yes, I think that's honor for his main man, which is out there. He should have ran to Dubai. Yeah. Brittany says, "Oh, so taxes are a subscription service now. I better go cancel that." Kat says, "Would he be going to a low-level security prison? Probably, but I mean, that's even if he goes to prison. He could also get deported. Who knows really what's going to happen to him?" Farm Girl Mom says, "I'm from Charleston, West Virginia. Everyone I know says it's Gallipolis." Mm, okay. Kat says, "So can he talk about his case now?" No, he shouldn't. He shouldn't. Are you guys talking about Logic is melting? Joe's melting? I mean, yeah, it's a million degrees out there. Fenris is saying it's Gallopolis. 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 Really? Gallopolis? That's what you guys down there are fucking it up. It doesn't sound like that. It doesn't look like that. I'm just saying. Fenris says they're wrong in Charleston. The Mothman says so. Yeah, well, they should just be happy they've got, running water and electricity in West Virginia. So, Ancient Homegirl is saying, "Did you check out the latest in the Young Thug?" Yes, I did. We covered the big motion, the motion for the writ of mandamus. Not Matt Damon, but mandamus. 10KV says Ohio, they can't speak right. Well, I'm part of that, so we can't speak right. We do fine. All right, guys. The last thing here, and this one I thought was actually make sure I covered everything. Have I got everything done? Real quick programming note for tomorrow. We're not going to be watching Karen Reed. We've got two bigger fish to fry for tomorrow. We've got a big day with Alec Baldwin, who is having his case on multiple things being done there. So, Alec Baldwin is going to be there. So we're going to take care of those. We're going to cover them. And those will be fun. There's a couple different things, including Hannah Reid as far as her immunity, but also the motions to dismiss that Alec Baldwin filed for the fact the revolver was destroyed. So it's not really legitimate evidence anymore. And a couple other things that were filed are going to get addressed because remember, Alec Baldwin's trial is set for very quick coming this month in July. It's not very far away. Really? I'm already requesting review on this? Jeez. YouTube, you guys suck. Yes. All right, guys, we have actually two more stories left. Two more. I'm sure all the women out here are going to be so sad when I talk about this. But Justin Timberlake got an OVI this week, which, it's actually very funny. So apparently there's an allegation the cop who arrested him didn't know who he was. And he got arrested out in Long Island. So I don't know. Once we get there's probably going to be dash cam of that and body cam of that. It will be kind of hopefully he's hopefully I hope he's not pissing all over himself, but maybe it's funny and maybe he tries to I'll do my turn, the walk a turn. He does his turn, does some of the Justin Timberlake dancing and shit. I don't know. We'll find out what happened. What's an OVI? Operating a vehicle while intoxicated. OWI, DWI. They call it a million. OMVI, OMVWI. They call it a million different things. You got a DUI. So who knows what's going to happen. I mean, it happened out in the Hamptons, so I'm sure that was the biggest thing for those police lately. At least they weren't having to arrest or hassle just yahoos wandering around. So who knows really what's going to happen with this? It's I mean, he has it'll be it'll be up to the courts to figure it out. I'm sure it'll be very fun. I'm sure whoever gets the oh, I forgot to share this. So, yeah, he was Jessica Biel, his wife, is very mad, but who cares about that? I'm curious. There's no real information except he blew through a stop sign and swerved while behind the wheel. Okay, well, let's see what swerving means. Although blowing through a stop sign is probably good enough. Here's his mugshot when he got arrested. Yeah, he definitely looks like he's had a couple. Those are pretty glossy eyes. Oh well, I mean, he's gotten money. He can it's not like if he gets a DUI, it's really that bad for him at the end of the day. So, oh well. Apparently he refused to take a blood alcohol test 3 times. I mean, if you're already in trouble, why help them? And failed the field sobriety test. Never take the field sobriety test, chat. Never, 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 never. Never take the field sobriety test. You will never pass them. It's entirely subjective grading. It's a test you can never pass, even if you complete it. Even if you complete it perfectly, all the cop has to say is, I still think you're drunk and you failed. So don't ever take it. Don't ever take it. No, I'm not legal advice. No, 100% legal advice. 100% legal advice. Never submit to a field sobriety test. Don't do the walk and turn. Don't stand there and lift your foot up. Don't do like this. Don't do the HGN, the horizontal gaze nystagmus. Don't do any of that. Don't count backwards. Don't go from like your ABC starting at C and ending on X. Don't do any of that crap. Don't do any of it. So don't do any of it. It will never help you. Sanga Girl says never, and I'm in law enforcement. There you go, chat. Brittany says the judge said I did great on mine and the cop was wrong. Well, that's good. I'm glad it worked out that way, but it doesn't work out that way most of the time. So, he also allegedly told officers he had had just one martini. Well, I'm sure he had a bunch. He's seen leaving his arraignment. God, imagine you're representing Justin Timberlake. Like, how much? Like, hey, how much is it going to cost you the DUI? $500,000. That's kind of steep. It's a sliding scale. I don't know. That guy's he's got a good suit on. I'm sure he probably makes good money. But yeah, it's like, how much would you charge him? Like, how much is he worth? Sheeple Hunter says, I failed field sobriety test, blew a .02, and the cops let me go. Well, congrats. You should have bought a lottery ticket. So you should have bought a lottery ticket. Yes, Michelle's right. It's a government conspiracy. They are targeting him for bringing sexy back. And because all you motherfuckers don't know how to act. That's why. The martini was a 5-gallon bucket. I don't know about that. Matt K is saying for $5. Thank you, Matt. Also, I think if I haven't seen you around, thank you for being here. Saying I passed a field sobriety test. Just told them I have scoliosis, which is true, and he was like, "Okay, never mind." And sometimes they will, because if it's obvious you have something like scoliosis, I'm sure that they won't do it. But they ask about all kinds of crap, and if they're asking you, like I said, if they're asking you to do this stuff, they're pretty sure you're drunk already and they're looking for extra evidence to prove it. So, It's all about building probable cause, chat. It's not actually about helping you. Stick to coke like Hunter. Yeah, well, he didn't get DUIs. Bob says they can still HGN you and you fail. Well, Bob, they could do that and you pass it and you still fail. Remember, you could pass a field sobriety test completely, and the officer could say, "I still think they were intoxicated," and that's enough, and you're still facing charges. So, yeah, it doesn't matter what you do; they can still determine you're intoxicated. Just channel your inner Mel Gibson. You'll probably get tased if you do that. Oh. Yes, no state can order you to take field sobriety tests. States can force you to submit to chemical testing, which is breath, blood, or urine. So, Blade 2.0 says that one dude blew a 0.0 on camera and they still arrested him. Yep. Yep, that still happens. That happens a lot. It happens more than you think. People blow really low or they do really well and they still get arrested. So, Jeremy says, how hard can you go to cop before they're allowed to arrest you? I mean, really, you're allowed to address them and call them pretty much anything. I mean, but it depends on the situation. If you're being pulled over and they suspect you of DUI and you're just screaming at them, like, just screaming at them at the top of your lungs, that kind of supports the notion you might be intoxicated. So, time and a place for it. But otherwise, you can generally talk all kinds of shit to the cops and they can't do anything about it. Now, they might try to arrest you, but they shouldn't. And you have First Amendment protection. Sleazy says, get them up. The girls are simping. Oh, yeah, I'm sure they are. And when that expert takes a stand for Karen Reed, it's going to be a lot of mopping up everywhere. Yes, the disloyal Shasta police. Okay. So that one's done, guys. And the last one here, this is very interesting. It's a county solicitor general, and I think that's some form of prosecution down in Georgia. She got charged with multiple counts of theft. So she got indicted. She's facing 23 counts. 13 are for false statements and 11 are for theft by taking. And she made more. She got indicted for over $4,000. I mean, think about that. As the prosecutor, she did all kinds of crap. First, listen to the stuff she did it for. She got reimbursed for travel expenses she had already submitted or had never taken. She used her county-issued credit card to buy items she claimed to be for victims but kept herself. She also submitted her, and I thought this was very interesting. She submitted a request to cremate a dog involved in an old case, but instead kept the money. Like, that's cold. That's cold. That's cold. So, anyways, here she is. I mean, yeah, she's totally not crazy, chat. So this is the very interesting things here. I mean, but look at this. So she was appointed back in 2008, and she previously worked at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office as Senior Assistant District Attorney. Oh, wow. It's almost like, huh? Yeah. It's not a surprise at all, huh? Really? Now, the governor can suspend her from her job, but he needs a 3-person panel, 14 days for receiving the indictment. But for right now, he's not doing anything about it. There are other people that are currently, and this is all funny how this all roped in together, chat. Listen to this. So the Attorney General's office indicted 3 other district attorneys, including a lady named Jackie Johnson in Glynn County, all with felony charges. I'm sure she's the one from the Ahmaud Arbery case. So Johnson is still being prosecuted as her attorney, Brian Steele, has been tied up in the YSL case in Atlanta and is going to be for forever. So it's very interesting how this all works together. It's so interesting how all this crap, it's just funny how it all intertwines. It just is. It's just so funny. Abel saying, so you're saying Nick could beat the government by greasing the DA and CPS? No. I mean, like, you can't pay them in snacks. So, out of the snack drawer. Yes. Forever. Yes. Yes, Miss Jackson, forever. So what big cities in Douglas County? I don't know. Let's see here. Douglas County, Georgia. The county seat is Douglasville. Okay, well. Oh, it's just outside of Atlanta, chat. Hold on here. It's just outside of Hotlanta. That's why it's all going down. There we go. There's Hotlanta. And then here's Douglas County. There you go. There. Left open the end. So people are like, where does the county end? Huh, McWhorter. Or is that, they probably say McWhorter, but it's like whore. Oh. Funny stuff. East of Atlanta. Well, that's west of Atlanta, so. The corruption seeping from Atlanta. Oh, Georgia's had a lot of corruption throughout its history. They didn't need Atlanta to do that. And guys, we are all done. That is everything. That's it. So as I said, tomorrow, guys, we will be doing the Alec Baldwin hearings. And those are going to be at 11 and 3 p.m. So, yeah, sorry. We'll catch up on Karen Reed over the weekend. I think that's probably a more effective use of our time. And has there been proof of Clyde tonight? Yes, there has. If you'd watched the whole show, you would know that. In the meantime, guys, we are going to get ready to head over to Locals and have some fun. And yeah, if you guys don't join us on Locals tomorrow morning at 11, I will see you over here to do Alec Baldwin and see how things go for him. Let's see if there's anything else to check over in Pitman over in Rumble says never mess with the tax man. He's also saying I could fix her, the crazy DA lady. Okay. Afix says, can we end on a Metal Gear Solid 5? Whoa. No. Who could betray us? Who? Can end on that. Yes, Locals will be tonight. Sheep Hunter says, stop by Wiggle sometime. Oh, I will. Next time he's on, I'll pop in there. We've been a little hit or miss, but I need to reach out to Wiggles over in CG Slums. So, guys, that is it. Thank you for everybody being here. 560 people. Please, if you guys like this, please click the like button. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Like I said, we do this every Thursday. It's always fun. And we'll be getting through Karen Reed, and Karen will be wrapping up this week. Should be done by next weekend. So remember, until next time, guys, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. So good night, chat. Take care, everybody.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty.